What up YouTube? It's your boy ABC Delicious. I'm back yet again with another video. Sorry it took a minute. So in my last video I had hinted that to go see Avengers Endgame, which I did. Not only one time, I ended up seeing the movie twice. The second time in 3D. And just as an aside, 3D doesn't really do anything for me. It just makes the people and the objects appear closer and maybe give you like a little bit more intimate feeling. Some of you guys might like it. I'm kind of whatever with it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Please be warned, this video review is full of spoilers. I was thinking about doing a spoiler-free review and then another one, but nah, I can't do it. So let's get into it. So basically, if you've been under a rock and you didn't see Avengers Infinity War, at the end of that movie, Thanos had snapped his fingers and half the population of the planet was basically zapped out, turned to dust, right? So, when you first watch the movie here, it's basically continuing from that part. The people left, the heroes, normal people, they kind of feel out of place. They don't know how to carry on. Basically, at the beginning of the movie, Iron Man and Nebula are left in space and they're running out of food, they're running out of air, so they're gonna die. And then as Tony Stark, Iron Man, is about to accept this inevitable fate, he's there in deep space and basically all of a sudden you see like the sun come out. And then of course it's Captain Marvel, so she comes over there, she drags the ship with Iron Man and Nebula back to Earth and the heroes are reunited. Now obviously it's not all good. Iron Man blames Captain America for letting him down and letting like BS get between them, so they weren't united on all fronts when the Thanos threat happened in the last movie. So after that, they want to find Thanos to get him to undo what happened. So they locate him on this planet with the help of his daughter Nebula, and they all go there. Let me see here. Hulk, Captain America, War Machine, Black Widow, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel goes down to the planet's surface, does a little bit of reconnaissance for all those people who don't know what I'm talking about. And they find him, he's just retired in a hut. Captain Marvel dives in there, starts shooting at him, beating him up, puts him in a headlock. All the heavy hitters come out. Thor, War Machine, because they don't know what's up. And when you get closer to Thanos, it looks like some of his body has been scarred. So they're demanding to know where the Infinity Stones are, and he's just like, they're gone. And what happened is after he snapped away half the population, he went to this planet and basically used the Infinity Stones to get rid of the Infinity Stones. And when you do that, there's a heavy cost to pay. And then finally, Thor's had enough, and he chops off his head, which I think he feels a little bit guilty, because if he had done that in the original one, even Thanos had said that you should have went for the head, none of this would have happened. There's nothing they could do. 5 years goes by, and the heroes that are left, they're doing the best that they can. Captain America goes to kind of a support group. One of the directors, I believe it's Anthony Russo, but if I'm wrong, you comic nerds out there, correct me down below. And there's also another guy in there, and just talking about life after the snap, right? And after that, Natasha's kind of running point. They have like all the basic hologram communicators, and all the people are dealing with whatever they're dealing with, but it's kind of like blah blah. And Black Widow is obviously very sad, and here comes the first spoiler. Hawkeye, who is kind of like I hate to say it, the adopted redheaded stepchild of the group. Nothing against you redheads out there, but I feel like he didn't really do much in the movies. You know, it's like, ooh, you're Robin Hood, I can shoot some arrows, right? But in this movie, another spoiler, at the beginning, he's outside out with his family, and then when the snap happens, all of his family just kind of dusts away. So then because of this, loses his mind, and not similar to the comic books, if you should read it, it's a pretty cool series, or arc. where he becomes Ronin, kind of this like badass vigilante. Anyway, in the movie, he just goes around killing bad guys. There was nothing he can do when the Thanos thing happened. So this is like the power that he can exert over other people just by going after all the bad guys, the gangsters, etc. So I think I see what they're trying to do. In this movie, I think that what they were trying to do is give every Avenger of the core group kind of his or her like shining moment. So I think it worked pretty well. It just showed him kind of being unhinged. He didn't know what to do. And for a while, I guess the other Avengers, they were kind of scared to meet up with him because, you know, they're going to have to take him down. So I thought that was a very interesting arc. They kind of made him like a badass. Let's see here. What else? Oh, Ant-Man. Paul Rudd, who I love immensely. He's stuck in the quantum field for a while, but again, spoilers ahead. He's stuck in the quantum field from if you had watched Ant-Man 2. And the thing is, the quantum field, as compared to the real world, time flows in a different way. So even though 5 years had gone by, when he comes out, he's only experienced 5 hours. So then we see him. He's looking around. He doesn't really know what happens. He goes to these like kind of like huge monuments of all the people who were kind of dusted away by Thanos, and he's looking around. I think he's looking for obviously his family or his daughter. And then eventually, again, another spoiler, he ends up going back to his house, and when he knocks on the door, it's an adult. I think his daughter's name was Cassie, because in the original other movies, she's like, what, 5 or 6? Or, I'm sorry, maybe 7 or 8. And here, it's 5 years later, so now she's a full-grown teenager. And after reuniting with her, he pops back in on the Avengers HQ. And that's when the fun starts to percolate, if you will. He goes and he talks to Captain America, Black Widow, and he kind of theorizes this idea that we can use. I have no idea. Like, people out there who know physics or science better than me, please let me know if this is theoretically possible. But anyway, he says like if we can access the quantum field, it could act like a kind of like a time machine. And what's funny is he has the idea, but he's not smart enough to fully do the idea. So who's the smartest Avenger? If you guys said Iron Man, ding ding ding, give yourself a prize. So they go hit up Iron Man, and it's been 5 years. Him and Pepper Potts have settled down. He's like somewhere in the woods. He's got a really cute daughter, cute as a button. And it's funny because when they bring him the idea, they start talking about like Back to the Future and Hot Tub Time Machine and all those different type of time machine movies, which makes it sound even more ridiculous. He's vigorously against it. He has this idea like anytime you mess around with time, there's going to be consequences. And he says basically, even though you guys haven't moved on, I have moved on. You know, I'm married, I have a kid. I don't want to sacrifice this. So they end up leaving, and here's another major spoiler. Who do you think is the second smartest guy, or maybe the smartest guy in the Avengers multi-universe besides Iron Man? Okay, if you thought Dr. Banner, you're right again. So they go hit up Dr. Banner, and a surprise reveal here is that he's no longer human Banner, and he no longer is the Hulk. He's basically Professor Hulk, or Professor Banner. Those of you who didn't read the comic books, if you thought this was like BS, it does actually happen in the comic books where Hulk is able to, obviously, when he becomes like the crazy Hulk and no one can reason with him and he just smashes stuff, that is one storyline. But there's other storylines where he's able to, just like the movie, be extremely smart, like retain his smarts, but also have the strength of Hulk. I see what they're doing. A lot of people complain about that. A lot of people thought that this kind of didn't pay off because in Infinity War, if you remember, him and Hulk are having that internal conflict, and you would think that in this movie they would resolve it and like Hulk would, Hulk smash on Thanos, but it didn't really happen. But I see what they're trying to do. It gives the actor Mark Ruffalo more kind of a arena to play with, and it was kind of interesting. But because of this, another spoiler, he doesn't get to really, I feel like, in my opinion, he doesn't do too much in the fighting scenes, unfortunately. And so, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of neat. Like, you just see this huge green monstrosity, but he also is able to retain his wits about him, his intellect. So they go look for him. He tries to help him with the time machine, but he's just saying, this is out of my realm. This is not really, I'm not really good at this. So it's funny when there's another spoiler, when they try to send Ant-Man back, keep effing up. Like, when they send him back, he comes back as a baby Ant-Man, he comes back as Grandpa Ant-Man, he comes back as a teenager Ant-Man, so that was pretty funny. Alright, what other spoilers were there? Some people would say the beginning, the middle part, kind of lagged a little bit. I thought it was interesting, but in my opinion, definitely the end part was more satisfying and climactic than the beginning part. But I'm gonna go through some of the highlights and spoilers. Another spoiler, we see Thor. He has resided in a community in Norway, I believe, with the remnants of the Asgardians. I'm glad some of them did survive, because after Infinity War, I thought most of them just got wiped out. But they're there, Valkyrie's there, and the twist is when you see it, Thor basically lets him go. Hey, we've all been there, right? Freshman 15, you get divorced, you quit your job. Basically, he became a, I don't want to say fat ass, but yeah, basically, he let himself go. I know why Chris Hemsworth was probably wanting to do this. Because like in every movie, he's just really jacked. He's very confident, he knows what he's doing. So I think this was an interesting kind of contrast. Not acting early enough to chop off Thor's head. It didn't just leave like psychological scars, it left this physiological scar. He just doesn't care. All those people out there, like, when you work out because you want to feel good, you want to look good. But like sometimes when something disastrous has happened in your life, you just don't give a F. You just stop working out. So I think that's what happened. He ends up just drinking every day. One of those, you ever go to someone's house and like a hoarder, and they haven't, like, maybe your best friend broke up with his girlfriend and you haven't seen him in like months. It's exactly like the scene. It's very reminiscent of that. So they go to him, he's fat. They do need Thor, because even fat Thor is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful character in the MCU. So they eventually drag him on there. So that's basically the reveal for that. And then Iron Man runs this like simulation in his house, because he looks at a picture of him and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, right? And if you know, in Infinity War, one of the touching scenes or emotional scenes that got to me for sure is when Spider-Man kind of dusts away and then Iron Man is holding him. So he kind of looks at that. He goes back to the 3D holographic, whatever you want to call it, and he wants to see if that scenario, like if they did that theory, if it will work. He didn't think it would work, but then Jarvis is like, scenario 100, like 99.98% successful. So he's just like, oh damn, this can work. So he goes back to Avengers HQ, gives Captain America a shield, and just says, listen, I'm with you guys. They called it a time heist. I'm with you there. I'm gonna help you guys out, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my family. So I'm gonna do my best. They have this plan where there's 6 stones, and they want to go back in various time points to get the stones. Let me see here. So, more spoilers. Let me see here. Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain America. They're gonna go back right after the invasion of New York by the Chitauri. If I pronounce that wrong, please comment down below. Hulk needs to go to where Doctor Strange's, I don't know, inner sanctum is, and get the, which stone is it? One of the stones. And then Captain America, Iron Man, Ant-Man need to get the Tesseract, as well as another stone. And then, let me see here. Hawkeye, Black Widow, Nebula, and who's the other one? Oh, War Machine. They split up, and it ends up, they splinter off even more, because Hawkeye and Natasha have to get the Soul Stone, and Nebula and War Machine are getting the stone from Quill gets in the original Guardians of the Galaxy when he's dancing around, right? So, another major spoiler. When Black Widow and Hawkeye go to get the Soul Stone, As you know from, and the Red Skull is their guide. As you know from Infinity War, Thanos had to sacrifice his daughter Gamora. It's like to get the stone, you have to sacrifice something. So they figure out that like one of them is not gonna make it back. They talk, they have this like witty banter, they hug, and then basically Hawkeye and Black Widow duke it out because Hawkeye's, I've killed so many people, I shouldn't be around, let me sacrifice so like my family could see and everyone could know that I did something good for once. He knocks down Black Widow and then wants to jump off the cliff, like to kill himself. But then Black Widow jumps after him, throws some kind of grappling hook, and ends up, Hawkeye is attached to the grappling hook and Natasha is just barely clinging on. And even though Hawkeye doesn't want her to sacrifice herself, she's kind of like, oh, you have a family, you guys are my family, I never did anything good, let this be my contribution to defeating Thanos, right? So she falls, she dies. I'm gonna be quite honest, I like Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow's pretty badass, but I'm not too hurt about that one. Although I'm sure all you Black Widow fans out there, the ones that love her, are gonna like disagree with me. If you do, comment down below, but I don't really care. So she passed, he wakes up, he's got the stone, and they go back. Captain America, Iron Man, it's interesting because they showed after the invasion, remember when the Avengers arrest Loki? They show like kind of different angles of everything, like what happens after, so we don't know. So the SHIELD agents, who we knew later are Hydra, come in and they want the scepter. I don't want to ruin too much, but Iron Man and Ant-Man fail in getting the Tesseract, and Loki, who's like chained up, steals I think it's the the Space Stone, right? The one that lets him travel, and he disappears. As an aside, I think I heard Loki's gonna get his own Disney show, so that'll be interesting. In fact, all these guys are. I think there's gonna be a Winter Soldier, Black Falcon one, there's gonna be a Loki one, so those are gonna be interesting. This is definitely the end phase of this era's MCU characters, which I'll explain later, but he's gone, they fail, they give Iron Man the scepter, and they need the Pym particle to go back in time. Each person only brings enough of the Pym particle for a round trip. Go there and come back. So they decide, we gotta go somewhere else because they failed to get the Tesseract here. So they go to the 1970s where they could get the Tesseract at an earlier time and also get more of the Pym particles. So they tell Ant-Man to go back with the scepter, he does. Iron Man and him and Captain America go back. It's very interesting because Iron Man gets to see his dad, Howard Stark, who's there, because as you know from the previous movies, he kind of has like a contentious love-hate relationship with his dad. So it's nice that he gets to see his dad. He gives him advice because Tony Stark's mom is pregnant with him. So he's kind of giving him advice because he just had a daughter, everything's gonna be okay. So he gets to understand that his dad actually loved him this entire time, and they get to share this intimate moment. Captain America, he gets to see Peggy Carter here because he accidentally goes into his office when he's hiding, and in the whole movie, which you'll understand later why, he's always looking at the little picture of her because it's one of his regrets. Remember from the original Captain America, the ensign, he's just like, I'm late for a dance. I'm 70, a girl was waiting for me to dance with her, which is the Peggy Carter character. So they get the Pym particles, they get the Tesseract, they go back. Nice little, because Howard Stark, when he's leaving, he's talking to Jarvis, who Tony Stark bases his Iron Man's, the voice, the Siri on. So you get to see Jarvis say a few things, even though there's only like 10 people, including me, who saw the series Agent Carter. I thought it was interesting anyway. Let's see here. Oh, Nebula, War Machine. They're able to, it's funny, the War Machine just knocks out Star-Lord. They get one of the stones, but then Nebula, because I think it's 2014 Nebula, she's aware that the 2019 Nebula is there, and their like kind of interfaces keep interrupting with each other. When they're about to go back to the present time, the 2019 Nebula is unable to go back, and then Thanos comes down, captures her. like they see all the video about what's going on, like the Avengers are coming back to the past to kind of thwart Thanos, and he also sees that like he eventually dies in the future, but this is inevitable, this is my destiny. And then the 2014 Gamora, when she sees all this, she's starting to have like doubts about what to do. And Nebula, the 2019, is kind of like convincing her, like, this is your future. Don't you want to know, like, why you don't see yourself or what he does to you, etc., etc. Am I missing anybody? Oh, okay. Thor. Thor goes back to Asgard, I want to say 2013. He sees Jane. This is when, because they need to extract I didn't really pay attention to Thor 2, but in Thor 2, I think Jane Foster was absorbed to the black matter or whatever, one of the stones. So Thor and Rocket Raccoon go back and they have this like doohickey. Yes, I said doohickey. And they have to extract the black matter from her. And Raccoon is kind of like, okay, Thor, you gotta charm her and let me like just jab her. And imagine if you're like Jack, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and then you come back and you're like Fat Man's Thor. He's just not confident. I think it's one of the scars that remains from being unable to like kill Thor when it was possible and most expedient. He just runs away. Raccoon's like, what the F? Raccoon goes up, and then all of a sudden Thor is able to, at first he's talking to his mom. The mom knows right away it's not him because he's got long like Rastafarian hair, like his eyes are different and he's fat. So the mom is, you're not my son, you're from the future. And then she's like, no, I'm your son. And she's like, mom boy, I was raised by witches I know. He's like, yeah, I'm from the future. Another funny scene is when they get ported in. Loki was in the prison. He's like playing with something. And then those two are kind of sneaking by. I thought that was really funny. And because of this, the mom gives him a pep talk and says like, listen, you can do this. And then Thor tries to warn her that she's gonna die that day, because remember in the first Thor she dies. But she's just like, hey, listen, this is your future. It's not my future. Whatever happens, happens. And then she has like one funny scene where she's like, you know, try to eat some salads because he's like so fat. And another cool thing is, because it is 2013, he does this, right? Rocket Raccoon is totally perplexed. He's trying to get the original hammer, Mjolnir? I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. So now he has it. Now he has the original hammer and Stormbreaker, which is wild, which will be even more important later. They leave, so he gets that closure with his mom, and they come back. Everyone is distraught because obviously Hawkeye comes back and Natasha's not there, especially Hulk. That's another one of the sad things. I feel like Hulk and Natasha kind of have this like romantic relationship going on, but it's never realized. Or so I kind of wish that was talked about. Or the one time or one of the few times in the movie where Smart Hulk goes nuts. He like ends up throwing something. He's really pissed. They're all sad. They can't bring her back, I guess. This is one of the things you can't undo. And then it's funny, so they get all the stones and they put it on the Iron Man hand, which I definitely needed to get. And then they're deciding who should be the one to make the wish, because they know by like looking at Thanos at the beginning of the movie, whoever does it could die because it's gonna leave scars or, you know, physiological damage. So it's funny, Thor's at first is like, I can do this, you know, I control thunder. And they're like, nah, they're like, you're not, you know, normally yes, but you're like a fat guy now and you're like in no mind state to do this. So Hulk steps up because I guess Hulk thinks that he's probably one of the strongest Avengers characters, which I agree with. And he was saying, I don't even know if it makes sense. He's saying like the stuff that happens to you is similar to the gamma radiation, which made the Hulk. So he should be the one who would come out with the least amount of physical damage. So he does it. You see the like surging stuff, the electricity happen. He's able to snap. And at first, we don't know what's going on if everyone comes back. But then all of a sudden you see Hawkeye's phone start ringing and it's from his wife. So it means that snap worked and half the population came back from the dead. Which is kind of interesting because think about it. If all of a sudden in your reality, a bunch of your friends and your family members disappeared, died, and then they came back 5 years later, there's gonna be a lot of consequences as well. What the heezy? Oh, And as I forgot to mention, Nebula for 2014, they incapacitate the 2019 one. They take the faceplate, the pink one, to differentiate. They put it on her. She ends up going back to 2019 with none of the Avengers the wiser. She opens the machine, brings Thanos' ship there, and after the snap, the Hulk snap, which works, his ship just rains down like lasers and beams onto Avengers headquarters, destroying everything, burying everything, and then this is it, man. Huge spoilers coming. Hawkeye has the glove, he's running around. It's kind of like a reminiscent scene of Aliens. He's running away from them. Kind of another cool scene to make him look badass. He's running around like flicking around, like doing stuff to like keep the Infinity Gauntlet from getting retrieved. Everyone's trapped. Hulk, kind of like, I guess the one badass scene they made it's like, so he's holding up the building or some part of the building, so it just means he's still pretty strong. Although in the comics, I feel like the more he's enraged, the stronger he gets. Like if you go back at the comic books if you don't believe me. Eventually everybody else, they come out, and then it's Thor, Iron Man, and Cap. They see Thanos just sitting there, and they're like, we gotta take out this guy. And Thor's not messing with me, he's like, I'm gonna kill this guy. So they go, they fight him, kind of to a standstill. They're fighting him. All of a sudden, Iron Man gets dispatched. Thor, the scene where basically he gets pinned down by Thanos. And Thanos, like, he calls Stormbreaker to come back. And then Thor kind of like takes it and is using the blade on him, is about to cut him. And then, most badass scene to me, the scene where like I wanted to scream in the theater, but I'm in Taiwan, so I don't do that. But I wanted to. You see the original hammer, Mjolnir? I keep pronouncing this wrong. Okay, it's lifting up. And at first you're thinking maybe Thor's calling it to him, like with one of his hands, but he's not. All of a sudden, it hits Thanos and it comes flying back. Who has the hammer, you ask? Captain Rogers, yes. Captain America, when he was able to pick up the hammer and he's wielding it, he's spinning around, he's hitting Thanos with it. Best moment in the movie. My highlight of the movie. He's like hitting with it. He's able to call the thunder down on it. Thor's like kind of like a proud dad. Like, I knew you could do it, because remember, if you look at Avengers Age of Ultron, remember when they had the thing where like all the Avengers tried to pick up the hammer and Captain America like kind of swivel around a little bit? I think that was the hint, that because if you actually read the comic books too, Captain America does lift it. Like, he is worthy enough to pick up the hammer. Besides Thor so far in these movies, it's been Vision and Captain America. But him lifting it up, he's like using the shield to hit it with it, effing up Thanos. That was such a satisfying scene. Like, everybody in the theater was kind of like, ooh, ah. If you go on YouTube and you look at audience reactions, I'm sure they're going to do more in the future. That's when everybody's yelling. I hate to say it, because Chris Hemsworth in Infinity War, when he comes with Stormbreaker and fights, everyone's yelling and screaming, but I think this topped it for sure. Just him wielding it, like flicking it around, it was so badass. And anyway, after a while, they fight to a stalemate. Thanos is basically, incredibly, starts to destroy Captain America's shield, which, if you remember, is made of vibranium, like Black Panther stuff too. And it's supposed to be the hardest material on Earth. But I think Thanos, first of all, his like blade is made of some kind of metal. Man, I'm gonna mispronounce this. Urhu or something like that, which is supposed to be even stronger than adamantium. Comic book nerds, if I'm wrong, comment that down below. I think that's basically the reason. So he's chipping away with it. He's the only one left. He gets up, and Thanos invites his whole legion, his whole army to come in, all the people. And it's just Captain America. He gets up, and Captain America's, he just got that like, one person is still alive, you haven't conquered us yet. And then I forgot this part. When he goes back in time, he actually fights 2013 Captain America, which is really funny because 2013 Captain America thinks he's Loki, and it's like, I can do this all day. You know, like the Captain America line. And he's just like, I know. And it's like, that was kind of a badass scene when he fights him. And also, it's funny. I guess he didn't like the original costume or something, because Ant-Man had commented it. That's America's ass. So he actually says that after he defeats him, which I thought was really funny. Back to the end scene. All of a sudden, when it looks like all hope is lost, all of a sudden, and this is a nice ode to, I believe it was Captain America Winter Soldier, all of a sudden you hear Falcon say, on your left. And when it looks on the left, all of a sudden, all of these portals open, because that's what happened with Thanos. All of the portals open, all his bad guys came in, and he's just like, I'm about to F with Earth. All the portals open, and then you got everybody. You got all those like sorcerers, they come, zoom, zoom, they come out. Wakanda comes out, they're like, or whatever they say. I'm mispronouncing it. All the tribes, Scarlet Witch, you got Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. I feel like they focused on only the core 6 Avengers, which is fine. And some of the, Spider-Man comes back, Doctor Strange. A lot of the superheroes, they're only in there for like a couple minutes. For example, Captain Marvel, she's at the beginning and the end, but she's like nowhere to be seen for a while too. So she comes up, they're fighting. So badass. Like the scene, like how you imagine like I gotta save the universe fight to be. Every nerd, because I used to read these comic books as a kid, every nerd's wet dream, basically. Alright? Everybody gets a moment to shine. And let me see here. You see everybody. You see Doctor Strange does the this to Iron Man, meaning if you remember Infinity War, there was like a 1 in 114 million or billion, I forgot, chance to win. So this means this is the chance. So they're all fighting. Scarlet Witch, my god, outclasses Thanos because she's effing him up because she, remember, he did kill Vision. And it's funny because he's just like, I don't know you. Because this is the 2014 Thanos. And she's just about to destroy him. And he's just like, okay, he's got these ships orbiting above. And he's like, shoot down. And then the one minion guy's like, hey, how about our troops? He's just like, I don't care, shoot down. He shoots down, and all of a sudden, they change the directory of where they're shooting. They're shooting at the sky, and then everyone's wondering why they're shooting at the sky. All of a sudden, Captain Marvel, OP, overpowered, comes in, just flies through the ships, F's up. And then mad scramble to get because originally, they were trying to get the Infinity Gauntlet to the back of Ant-Man's van to put it back into to go back in time and get rid of it, so there'd be no more snaps. Because Thanos now wants it to, instead of saying, I'm going to kill half the planet, I'm going to kill the whole planet. They destroy the van, and then all of a sudden, it's like a mad scramble to see who's going to get the Infinity Gauntlet, and eventually, it comes between Iron Man and Thor. So, at first, you think Thanos has it, and he goes like this, and nothing happens, and all of a sudden, Tony Stark has it, and he's just like, da, 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 and it's badass, and then he gets to say his iconic quote, I am Iron Man. Boom! He does it. And then, I guess he wished all of the bad guys to turn into dust. And then Thanos, who kind of realizes it's just not meant to be. He's the last one to kind of dissipate and flake off. And at first, everyone's happy. It's a celebration. We did it. But then you realize, have you ever had a friend who drank too much? He's just out of it. He's in a coma. That was basically it with Tony Stark, man. There was no coming back from this. He was just fried. And I gotta admit, I didn't really feel anything when Black Widow died, but when Iron Man died, plus because I especially love Robert Downey Jr., it hit me, man. I teared up. I didn't cry. I didn't bawl in the movie theater, but I definitely felt it. I was like, oh man. Because as you know, a lot of the characters aren't coming back. This is their last rodeo, right? So he gets to have a tender scene with Spider-Man, who's just like, Mr. Stark, no, right? And then obviously Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, who, I forgot, kind of badass. She came in with her own Iron Woman suit. And she's just like, listen, you can rest. We're gonna be okay. You did it. We won. And it was just a weird, because she was like, stay with me. And he was just so, God. And then The emotional scene is, of course, like, because of the, what is that, the core that's usually shining so vibrantly, so brilliantly, it just goes out. It means he's dead. And then at the end, basically, all the Avengers are there at Iron Man's funeral. Now, some of you would say, like, why does Iron Man get this fantastic send-off, but Natasha doesn't really get one? Maybe they didn't show it, or maybe it makes more sense because Iron Man is such a, especially in the movies, he's like the core, he's the beacon, he's one of the main characters, whereas Natasha is more like we don't know who her family is, we do know who her friends. She's always in the shadows doing like I don't want to say sketchy stuff, but the more subtle stuff. But everybody's there, all the Avengers. Nick Fury finally makes it back. The kid, a lot of people are wondering who that tall, lanky kid is. I didn't see the movie, but according to what I read, like, he's the kid in Iron Man 3. So that was a nice touch to put in there. I don't know if, how much of a role he played in that movie. Comment down below if you want to tell me about that. But yeah, really sad. He's gone. He left a holographic goodbye to his family because he thought he might die for some reason. It's just sad his daughter, he's gonna grow up without a dad. But I don't know, in the future, I don't know what that means. Maybe the daughter becomes the new Iron Man. Because I felt like in the movie, it was hinting at the beginning, maybe Hawkeye's daughter becomes the new Hawkeye. Because in the comics, there's like a female Hawkeye. Let me see. So everything else is good. Oh, one last spoiler. They have to take the 6 Infinity Stones and put them back in the proper places. Not to F up with the time continuum. Is that it? Don't know how it works. Oh, I forgot to say. Nebula 2019 ends up killing 2014 Nebula. Doesn't that mean she would die too? I don't know how that works. All you time buffs, let me know down below. But Captain America has to go back, so he's there with Hulk, Bucky, and Black Falcon, and he's like, I'll be right back. They're like, he needs to go back. He'll be back in 5 seconds. He goes on the platform. He goes there. They count to 5. He doesn't come back. And then Hulk is all like, oh, I'll bring him back. And then all of a sudden, Bucky's like, Sam, go there. And when you go there, and then I think Bucky knew what was going on because he just kind of, it seemed like just by his vibe and his attitude, he knew that this was going to happen. So Black Falcon goes over there, and then when he looks at him, you see Captain America from the back, and then when you see him, he's an old man, like a grandpa. Sad because he's an old man. And also weird because I thought the super serum slows down your aging, but that's neither here nor there. Cap, after delivering the stones, obviously decided to stay with Peggy Carter. Now, what does that mean? There's a couple things, because if you do that, didn't Peggy Carter marry some other guy? Or did she, because if you look at I forgot if it was Civil War, one of the ones when he goes to the museum, didn't she marry another guy? But does that mean she actually married him and we just didn't know? It makes your mind spin. And another interesting part, or a few interesting parts, he went back, with the Soul Stone, he has to go back to that cliff. And he saw Red Skull, right? So, when you take the stone, you have to sacrifice someone else's life. When you're giving back the stone, do you have to do anything? Did he have some witty banter? Because that was his arch nemesis in the first Captain America movie. Also, there's got to be some. I know Chris Evans said he didn't want to come back for Avengers, but there could be some standalone movies because that means he's in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s with Peggy Carter. He's married to her, but I'm sure he's still fighting the good fight, right? So are there possible movies in the future? I don't know. But he comes back. Black Falcon talks to him. He's very happy. He's sad because he's an old man, but he's happy because he got to live his life. Because remember, Tony Stark had said, I think in one of the movies, to Cap, you gotta live your life. So he decided to get a life. So he comes back. He has the shield. Badass moment. He gives it to Black Falcon. Those of you comic nerds out there might be a little bit confused like me, because I'm pretty sure Bucky gets it first, but it seems like he's gonna be the new Captain America. So, and like I mentioned before, like Loki, I heard Winter Soldier, Black Falcon is gonna have their own Disney show, and it's interesting. So because of this movie, you've wiped out Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. So in the next phase, there's gotta be, because this is a moneymaker, there's gonna be movies with the remaining characters and or other stuff, because there's still gonna be Spider-Man 2, Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange, etc. So I don't think this is the end of phase for like Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., and Scarlett Johansson. Although Scarlett Johansson is supposed to get her own movie, which we hear is going to be a prequel. But anyway, that's about it. Hulk, his half side is all effed up. He has like a sling. I don't know if maybe he'll recover from that. I'm not sure. And also, Thor decides to kind of abdicate. He gives up his position as the ruler and gives it to Valkyrie. And he decides, on a random, he decides to hang out with the Guardians of the Galaxy as they're trying to find. Oh, during the fight, Gamora disappears. So I'm assuming the next Guardians of the Galaxy is going to have Thor in it, and they're going to be looking for 2014 Gamora. So it should be interesting. Again, I have to go back and say, most badass moment for me when I wanted to like start running around high-fiving people in the theater, when Captain America is lifting the hammer. And it's funny too, later when they have the big scene, they have the thing, and then Thor's like, you take the small one. Like, he's taking Stormbreaker. So basically Chris Evans can lift either one, and he gets the little one. Awesome. So epic. Another epic part, when all the good guys are aligned, the portals are opening up, and all of a sudden Captain America's like, Avengers, assemble. That sent another chill down my spine. So, at the end of the day, I think you can guess it, and I'm sorry, this has been a long video, but I had to jam in everything in there. Do I recommend this video? F yes. 1 on a scale of 1 out of 10, 20. I even went with someone who didn't watch any of the movies, and she enjoyed the movie too. But obviously, if you watch all the movies, you're gonna get all the Easter eggs, which I couldn't go into all of them because I don't remember all of them. But there were so many nods and little like wink winks to previous movies. So if you're a comic book nerd, you're definitely gonna get it. And that's about it. So again, if you were actually awesome enough or patient enough to sit through this whole long video of me rambling, I appreciate it. Please comment, like, subscribe down below. I'm going to try to have some videos in the near future. In the meanwhile, Avengers assemble!
God, seems like 1,000 years ago. I fought my way out of that cave, became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
I like this one.